Good. All right. So then we're going to start. Thank you, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for attending the community virtual meeting for Ward 14. Once again, Councilwoman Jasmine Santana. These community meetings, normally they're hosted in person, but because of COVID, of course, we're trying out the the new norm now, which is Zoom. So these meetings are really to provide updates on local resources, housing opportunities, safety. We have a special featured speaker that is invited every meeting. And so these resources are resources that we invite our residents that call regarding to provide some challenges or some issues that are happening in the neighborhood. So we take those complaints and then we invite a featured speaker to speak on all those challenges. So first up on the call is safety, which is Lieutenant Bentley from the 2nd District, who will be sharing information on safety and of the community. And also our office has received numerous calls regarding Denison Car Wash, regarding loud music, ATV, racing, and I know residents are frustrated. Please note that we are taking these complaints very serious. We are trying to do everything that we possibly can to address the issue. We did have a community meeting with residents in the area, and we probably came up with some solutions, but really don't want to share that right now until we iron everything out. But I want to turn it over to Lieutenant Bentley, just kind of elaborate on that, but also on the safety of our neighborhood. If you have any questions, please write your questions in the chat.
All right, guys. Thanks, Councilwoman Santana. As Councilwoman Santana said, I'm Lieutenant Michael Bentley. I'm basically assigned to the Commander's Office of the 2nd District. Prior to COVID, I handled every community meeting virtually in the 2nd District. So jumping right to the chase, because where it looks like it's leading is this car wash issue over at 56 in Denison. Hopefully I could clear up whatever questions people have or concerns with it. Just understand that it's going to take a meeting of the minds, so to speak, here with this problem, because, from everything I'm seeing, there's a lot of cars out there, there's a lot of people, and it's a nuisance that we understand. We know it has to stop. But also what we want to do is just not do a quick fix solution for one night, because that ain't going to cure it. We're going to have to come up with a solution here, and we have many different ideas to do this, whether it's to bring in outside resources, whether it's hopefully to move the whole, move it away from that area to another area, which, Councilwoman Santana is actively trying to do. So just understand that it's definitely high on our radar. It's definitely, we know it has to be handled. We know that it's a nuisance to all you people that cannot continue. So it just isn't going to be forgotten about. There was some questions as far as, people, I think, I don't know this for a fact, but we're complaining that they're making calls and there's no one coming. And I'm not disputing that. I know there's a misunderstanding, but if a call is put in the police dispatch, you guys got to understand that a unit is coming. Now, I can't guarantee, I'm not looking at the board when these calls were done, if there's other shootings, which are high priorities, that they're responding to before they go there. But I know that there's active investigations with our vice unit as far as drugs from that location, with other multi-agencies that are involved as well. And once again, I can't go too deep into that, but just know that aspect is taking place. As far as, really putting a dent in and stopping this, like I said, it's going to take some thought process. It's going to take some planning, and it's going to take other agencies brought in as far as manpower goes. Our number one priority always is going to be calls for service. And there's a set number of zone cars on that shift, which would be C platoon, that handle radio. So it's not like we have at our disposal 8-9 cars to just send there and sit on this location, which I believe would be a huge deterrent. And in order for that to happen, we have to reach out and get resources. But I don't want to keep hammering on this. I just want to leave you guys with, it's talked about, it's in the planning stages, and just, I know it's hard, but be patient. We are going to have to come up with a solution. So it's a priority right now for us. So we will be acting on it. Anything else, Councilwoman? Any questions you're seeing popping?
Yeah, you know what? So we have a question about ATVs and why, it's an issue that's all across the city, and why can't the police enforce?
Good question. Quite simply put, several years ago with one of the shootings that went down, the Department of Justice came in. They basically looked at all our policies and all our guidelines, and the one main thing that they did many things, but the one main thing that sticks out is they drafted a whole new policy on what our responsibilities are, what we can, what we cannot do as far as pursuits. So per policy, all we're allowed to pursue for is violent felonies or OVIs, which is a DUI, as you guys would know, a drunken driving. So we're really handcuffed. Believe me, I wish we weren't. So hypothetically speaking here, let's say 10 ATVs come, they're loud, they're screaming up the street. One of our patrolmen see them, he puts the lights on them, they start moving, they start fleeing. He starts pursuing. The first thing he's going to do is come over police radio and notify a supervisor that he's got eight ATVs, and right away the supervisor is going to tell him he cannot pursue them because that's policy. So we're real handcuffed here. So what we do is, if it's spiking up in an area, a certain area all the time, we would bring our traffic unit in, we'd make them appraised of the situation, and basically they have within the Bureau of Traffic for the Cleveland Division of Police, they have a unit that is able to pursue. And then also we would have options probably with Ohio State Patrol, but there's some jurisdiction concerns there. So, it's just a matter of us being able to really find these vehicles when they're parked, because most of them are stolen, and being able to tow them out of there. But as far as a patrol unit from CPD on the streets that sees these, we're just not allowed to pursue them. So it's more or less of an invest to where if we know of a certain area where it's happening all the time, then we can involve our traffic unit. Sorry for the long explanation.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm just trying to see if anyone has any safety questions or anything pertaining to something that maybe happened in their neighborhood. This is your time.
There's been, and one other thing to touch on, of course, and I know people hate to hear this, that I can't go too deeply involved in with investigations, but there were two shootings, one I believe 5-6 in Store, and another one 37th in Denison. Forgive me if I'm a little bit off on the locations. I know I'm close on them. So just know that they're both being investigated, and I got briefed on them, 2-3 minutes ago. I don't want to go into too much detail on it, but from everything showing, it isn't like a victim that just got shot. There's more to it. There's more of a story to it. But those are ongoing investigations, just in case that question pops up.
Got it. And then just, I think one last question is, how do you handle nuisance property where there's squatting?
Usually what we would do, our community services unit, which handles a lot of them quality of life issues, we would try to go about it, once we got a complaint, whether that would be me going to a meeting or whether it would be, just someone calling into the commander's office and making it known that this property has people that are squatting, it's a vacant property. We would send a couple units over from our community services unit that handle these type of calls within the district, and we would try to go about it, in a civilized manner and just have a discussion with them and basically, provide them with where the shelters are, where basically a different place that they could go to. And we would try to alleviate it that way. If they leave there and then come back, obviously this community services unit, the lieutenant down there, would have a tracking system of different addresses with this problem. So we would go back and check on this, for several days. And basically we would our hope would be to move them people into like a shelter area.
Got it. Okay.
And if it went to like a nuisance property, if it went to that many stages to where we weren't just getting any progress, then obviously we'd probably go around with nuisance letters through the city and everything like that.
Yeah. Okay. And Lieutenant, should they call 911 or maybe the non-emergency line?
For this specific problem?
Yes.
I mean, if it's just not a crime, if it's just squatters in a house, basically, you know, they could always just call the district, you know, at 623-5205. If there's some type of crime attached to it, like drug activity or something like that, then yeah, they could call, and then what we would do is, you know, a basic patrol car is going to go out there and handle the situation. But obviously, then if it's an ongoing thing, we would need to know about it with our community services unit.
Perfect.
So
and that number is 216-623-5205.
That's the number up to the commander's office here, and like if a citizen called with an ongoing nuisance property, I would probably just connect them to the lieutenant, which is Pat Petranek down in Community Service Unit.
Perfect. And I added that number to the chat. So if anyone
That's
wants
fine.
to save it, okay.
That's fine. Just know that and anyone's welcome to call that, but just know that that's our number up here in the commander's office. So it's got to be, you get what I'm saying, like I'm not saying serious issues because that would be 911, but it's, you know, we're very busy up here. We don't mind hearing this and getting it done, but it can't just be 100 phone calls coming a day, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right.
So there's no other questions. Thank you for your service and your time, Lieutenant. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman.
And,
Anytime.
Mike
Thank you.
MoCap, who will be presenting on a conceptual master plan park renovation for Mercedes Cotner Park, which is located on Maywood Avenue. This is a fully budgeted and funded $1.5 million park renovation and reconstruction project. You know, the city recognizes that parks and recreation add essential services to the community, right? And so parks are vital in establishing and maintaining quality of life for the community around health and, you know, families and youth, and in contributing economic environmental well-being for the community. So it is my honor to turn it over now to Mr. McKnight and Mike.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Jim, you're muted. Thanks so much, Councilwoman. Appreciate the opportunity to be here at your community meeting. I'm Jim McKnight, landscape architect in the Mayor's Office of Capital Projects, and also with me is Mike McAndrews, who's another landscape architect in our group, and Jessica Fox-Gift is our manager of recreation, and she's also on the call tonight. We're excited to share improvements for Mercedes Cotner Park on Maywood and 95th, and extends all the way over to West 97th. And this is part of a ongoing initiative to repair and make improvements to parks throughout the city. We have 170 some parks throughout the city, and we do every 3 years we do assessments of the parks, rate them, and at this point, Mercedes Cotner is next in line for major capital repairs. So I'm going to take you through some images, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mike to share some of the new improvements that we're suggesting. Everybody see the screen okay? All right, good. So this is the current condition of Mercedes Cotner, and those of you in the ward that may be familiar with it, Maywood is over here on the far left edge of the slide. West 97th is down here at the bottom, and the main entrance to the park is essentially on West 95th at Maywood. There's a swimming pool that gets a fair amount of use. There are playgrounds that are toward the back of the park, and a series of basketball courts that are all tucked in the corner. And then there's a little baseball diamond that gets very little use from what we understand in this area of the park. So when we do our assessments, what we look at is the conditions of the park, the accessibility of the park, and the visibility of the park. And so when we went out to Mercedes Cotner, one of the first things we noticed was that the park has a lot of tree cover, primarily in the areas where the play areas are and the basketball courts. And so we understand from our perspective, it's better to have eyes on the park, to have activities that are visible from not only the neighbors, but also from law enforcement as they monitor activities in the park. So one of our initial suggestions is to relocate the play areas and reduce the number of basketball courts, and therefore open up the visibility into the center of the park. These are some of the images right now. Those of you that are familiar with it. The pool building up here in the upper right corner, some of the access ways into the park, the current playgrounds at the center of the park, and you can see the heavy tree cover. And I think in this image particularly, you can see how dense the vegetation is and the amount of visibility that's reduced by the fact that we have all that vegetation in the park. Here's some of the basketball courts. This image down here is actually at West 97th and Walford. And these planters have been placed here. There's a small parking lot here that has a little bit of an awkward layout to it. It's an exciting mural on one of the walls adjacent to the park. Poor drainage issues. You can see that these are sort of located in several areas of the park. So we'll remedy all that when we make improvements. Mike, why don't you take over and walk through the master plan for the new park improvements.
Okay. Thanks, Jim. This is our overall master plan, and I'm just going to start and give a kind of real basic overview of this master plan, and then we've got some other slides that show things in more detail. We can look at each of these areas in more detail. But as Jim mentioned, one of the things we're trying to do is kind of move things closer to the edges of the parks, a little bit closer to the to the roadway for better visibility. So what we've done is we've at the far north end, we've kind of moved the playground and area to that end of the park, and we've added splash pad and
Mike,
plaza area.
I'm sorry, you sound really low.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right. I'll try to.
I thought I was putting.
You may want to talk a little closer to your mic, Mike.
Okay. Is that better, or is that any?
Nah.
No.
A little bit. Speak up.
Okay. So anyways, we've kind of shifted the playground from towards the center of the park over towards the towards the north end, and added a splash pad with that area, plaza area, and then a main entrance at the West 95th and Maywood area, as well as we think with all these activities there could be a need for some parking, so we've shown some parking at the north end. A little further to the south, Jim mentioned the swimming pool. We've got a few essential repairs that we're going to do at the swimming pool. And then we've also, just to the west of the swimming pool, we've created a kind of just an informal play lawn that would just, be for, pickup games and, just informal games that can be done on the lawn. The one thing we show here too is kind of a central walkway system that goes from Maywood to West 97th, and it kind of meanders through the park. It's very centrally located, and with removal of several trees and things and regrading, we think we can open it up to kind of create a lot more openness and better visibility, so that people can walk through the park and feel much more comfortable with the openness. And then, towards the center of the park where we had the playground and there was a splash pad and a lot of walkways and 3 basketball courts, we've created much more green space in this area by removal of those things, but we have kept 1 basketball court, in the similar area where the courts are now. We're maintaining one of the 3 basketball courts. We do have First Energy has a piece of property that's landlocked by the park and another neighbor. And way back in the 60s when they developed this park, they were given an easement to access their property. And they also have several underground electrical ducts that run through the old right-of-ways that were once in this area that have been vacated. But anyways, they need access to their property and to these ducts. So one of the things we're looking at doing is reworking their access from where it is now over to from West and then to a route that's from West 97th to a new gated location at the northwest corner of their property. And then one of the big things that we're showing here too is a new pump track. It's a bicycle pump track system that would it's something that's becoming more and more popular in parks worldwide. So we'd like to build one here, but it's just a bicycle system that has a kind of a lot of hills and a lot of turns, elevated turns and things. So we've designated an area at the south end of the park for this type of bike system. So with that, I'm going to go into more detailed looks at these areas. We'll go back to the playground area, look at that in a little bit more detail. You can go to the next slide, Jim. So this is looking at the far north end of the park, where we were talking about with a new playground, a splash pad, plaza area, new kind of formalized entrance into the park from Maywood Drive. The playground would have new equipment that's designated for 5 to 12-year-olds, and then a separate area for 2 to 5-year-olds. We've got some images off to the left here of that equipment, and it's set up a little bit differently than what we might do normally with a lot of stairs and decks and things. And this is more of a kind of a climbing course system that would allow for kids to to climb from piece to piece and use a lot of different muscles and physical parts of their body, whether it's climbing or balancing, or there's some spinners and things in there. But it just gives a new variety of equipment for kids. We've got some different swing systems with the 2 to 5-year-old area on the top picture. We've got this saucer swing system that allows for maybe a few kids to swing at the same time, or it also allows it's compliant for disabled kids who can get off a wheelchair and climb onto this and swing. And we've also got some spinning activities in here that aren't really shown as much, but they will be part of this too. As I mentioned before, we think with these activities at this end of the park, there could be a need for some additional parking. So we've added the parking lot off of Maywood with 23 additional cars. We've also we're looking at some for more sustainable capture of our storm sewer or storm water. We've got an infiltration trench that would capture the water coming off the parking lot off to the edge there, and allow it to percolate into promote percolation into the ground rather into the sewer system. Let me think. I think that's it for this slide. Just wanted to give some examples of the splash pad system. It's a system that it's concrete pavement with the spray emitters built into the pavement that spray out of the ground. And it's activated with a touch system. There's a button system that the kids can touch to activate it. So, and then it cycles through various with the different sprays coming on and going off, and there's various ways it can be set up. It's computerized, so there's different ways you can do it. But it just gives a variety of sprays activity, and with the with the on-off system, it provides a lot of fun for kids to play in with the different emitters. Okay. See, next slide. A few essential fixes we're looking at, and for the swimming pool area, there's some deteriorated concrete edging and fencing along the fence line on the north and the west side. So we want to get that repaired. There have been some issues with people climbing on top of the pool building, because if you look at the picture on the upper left-hand side, the fence line currently, pretty much comes right up to the roof. So it's easy for people to climb up the fence and get on the roof. So what we'd like to do is move the fence away from that side of the pool building, extend the fence around that side of the pool building, and move it away, and add a new gate on the west side. That would be the main entrance into the pool. But just take care of that issue. Try to take care of that issue of people climbing out of the pool building with some new fencing. Then I mentioned the play lawn that would be just to the west of the pool. So that's a kind of an open lawn. We are looking at a couple different things along the main path. Where one of the things is looking at for kind of a multi-generational uses for so that everyone can use the park, people of all ages. We're looking at adding some exercise equipment along various stations along the main path. So you'd have about roughly about maybe about a quarter of a mile. The path is almost a quarter of a mile long from end to end, and then you've got these stations. So between the walking along the path and the exercise stations, we'd have some physical fitness that could be provided for people. And then, as I said, the basketball court, we'd reconstruct the basketball court. It would be all new pavement, new hoops, new coatings. One thing we're looking at doing is to eliminate fencing on the basketball court, make it more open, again, for better visibility throughout the park. And just keep an open condition with the basketball court. And as you can see, we've got a lot more green space in this area that's left over with things being moved out of here in this central area. I mentioned First Energy and their access. Right now they have an access gate that's on the south side of their property, so that we can better utilize the area, that south end for the bike track, for the pump track. We've talked to them, and they're open to relocating their access into their property with a new gate on the northwest end, and that would also be associated with a shared they would share the walkway with it would be shared for vehicular use and pedestrian use. Their access needs aren't very frequent, but they do need to get in there. So it's not like they'd be going through there on a daily or even weekly basis. I don't think. It's more when they need to get in there, they'd have that the ability to do that. And also, this would be the main kind of vehicular access into the park for parks maintenance. So parks maintenance would also use this to get into the park for their needs. It'd be a 12-foot wide concrete, kind of shared walk and drive. And then I mentioned the pump track. We've got the layout of the pump track, and one of the things that we're also looking at here, not only is it becoming more and more popular, but I think we've also got an opportunity in the community with, if you're familiar with Ray's indoor bike track, mountain bike track, which is on Walford Avenue. Ray's is an indoor system, but it's his system, their system is very similar to what we're showing here. Only ours will be built out of earth and asphalt, and I think theirs is more of kind of a wooden system that's indoors, but it would be very complementary to each other. So there might be some opportunities with Ray's and the city of Cleveland to develop some kind of programming with this kind of bike track. It's set up so that we've got two different systems. We've got a kind of the larger system that would be for people that are more experienced, with this kind of biking, and then we've got a smaller system too that would be for beginners and people that, you know, are less experienced. So we've got both of those with the pump track system. And then we've also, you know, just create an area where there's a kind of a start and finish plaza area with some benches and bike racks and things like that, you know, to kind of give a you know, a starting place for riding the bikes, and, you know, separated from the main walk as well. I guess the final thing I want to touch on too that we're looking at is just to kind of do some modifications to the parking lot that's off of Walford and West 97th. And that is to, you know, eliminate those planters, create more of a kind of a landscape island that goes across the frontage with just the single entrance off of West 97th going into the parking lot. And then we've just squared it off to make it a little more conventional, I think, rather than the triangular shape it is now. And then also we're looking at maybe possibly talking to traffic maintenance to see if there's an opportunity to maybe add a stop sign at that corner too. Right now it's the West 97th turning to the west onto Walford has to stop, but Walford turning north onto West 97th doesn't stop. So we'd maybe see if traffic engineering would be open to adding a stop sign for, you know, for stopping in both directions to kind of slow down traffic. Where we also think we should probably have a you know, a mid-block crosswalk that comes across West 97th to our main entrance on this end of the park.
Good.
So I would ask if there's you know, be open for any questions or comments or anything that anyone might have for you know, regarding the proposed master plan.
Thanks, Mike. Are there any neighbors in the on the call from right in the neighborhood?
Yeah, you know what? We're in times, I mean, I have some questions on the chat, but if someone wants to unmute and speak, we're open to that. This is all, once again, we're just kind of piloting this whole system, but I could start with some of the questions that are in the chat.
Sure.
So it says, with the track, there might be a number of dirt bikes and ATV usage.
Well, motorized vehicles will be prohibited in the park. So, I mean, that would really come down to an enforcement, signage and enforcement issue, I believe.
And I think the way these pump tracks are set up, it really doesn't. It's not something that's easily done on a motorized vehicle. They just tend to move too fast, I think, generally to be able to maneuver through one of these pump track systems, is my understanding. We also have with us, I noticed, we have Jason from Tom Ritz. He's our pump track designer that we have on this project. And Jason, I don't know if you've had any experience with motorized vehicles on pump tracks that you've trying to use the pump tracks for anything you've worked on.
Yeah, I've never seen an ATV. The tracks just aren't wide enough for an ATV to really fit. We do, every once in a while, you'll hear about a kid on a small dirt bike, like a 50, like a motorized pit bike. Those, I mean, you might get kids trying to do those and that's about it, but it's really a large, like a normal sized dirt bike will not fit. They're just, everything's too tight for them to get around on.
And that's a good segue for the second question, which is about security cameras. And I know that the city put a lot of security cameras in that park. Do you have information on that?
We will maintain the security cameras in the park that were recently installed. And we feel as if by removing a significant amount of vegetation in the center of the park, we'll open up sight lines so that the cameras will actually become more effective. It's not, we will be planting, all the dark circles on the plan are all new trees, but there is quite a bit of density right here in the center of the park that will be thinned out.
And also, I'll add too that we, as far as security goes, we are looking at adding new lights throughout through that central area of the park.
Perfect.
For nighttime lighting, obviously.
Okay. Will there be a fence around the track?
No, we want to minimize the the amount of fencing. So our intention right now is not to fence the track.
Okay. Is this the final design, or is there an opportunity for the community to give input on programming and amenities?
Well, we'd love to hear any comments or thoughts tonight on amenities. We are moving quite quickly. We want to be able to bid this project in October. So we may, we may give it a week or so, say, of opportunity for any input.
Yeah.
You can certainly, we can share this presentation if you'd like.
Yeah. Jim, if not on this Zoom call, how could a resident reach out and give their input? Through email, a call? What are other ways?
Those are really probably the best two ways right now with, working at City Hall without a public, without the building being open to the public. So phone calls and email probably the best way.
Okay, to your email address, Jim?
Sure.
Okay.
Use mine or Mike's. I believe I'll forward you both of our contact information, Councilwoman.
If you could just, you know what, Jim, if you could write it in the chat and then just send it to everyone, that would be helpful. And so with that goes, residents asking about swings for kids. So no regular swings for kids.
Yes, there are actually regular swings right here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Strap swings and toddler swings.
Correct, yeah.
Got it.
How do I figure out where the chat is?
I've got it down here, Jim. I'll
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Just making sure everyone's question was asked. If not, if you want to unmute, this is your opportunity now before I give my council updates.
Well, Councilwoman, we have Lieutenant Tucker from First District online as well. I don't know if you wanted to make some comments regarding safety around the park.
Oh, okay. So maybe that's a good segue if everyone's done with the amenities of the park. Okay, so that.
Well, I don't know if you can hear me or not.
Okay.
Yep.
So go ahead, Lieutenant.
Well, the plan is new to me. I was asked to sit in on this meeting, but of course we have our normal patrols as well as community service unit, and we also have bicycle units which patrol the area now, especially with the warmer weather. So this could definitely be a destination for them to put on their daily schedule to check out and keep safe.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah, for sure.
And you mentioned the cameras. I'm sure in some fashion we would have access to those as well with our real-time crime unit, things like that. So I'm sure we could get plugged into that as well.
Yeah, good. Lieutenant, any other updates that you would like to share with in First District? I know Ward 14 doesn't have many streets that are in First District, but anything that you want to share, or if any residents have any questions that are in First District, please, either unmute or you can just write them in the chat.
Yeah, I'd be happy to try and answer any questions.
Well, while we get some questions, I just want to thank, MOCAP and City of Cleveland, Jim, for the presentation. We really appreciate it. Thank you for being on. If there's any questions, or any input, or if, residents, want to see something, then I would just encourage them to email Jim McKnight.
That'd be fabulous.
Yeah, or give you a call, and I'll also share that. I'll wait for you to share that on the chat, Jim. I can't see it on my end.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you. I appreciate
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, Lieutenant, so I don't have any questions for you, Lieutenant.
Okay.
But I don't know if you want to share anything, any safety concerns around in your district, or any residents should be mindful of?
you know, just with all that's going on nowadays, I would just say, if you see something that doesn't look right, call that 621-123 number. If it's an emergency, absolutely dial 911. We will do our best to handle whatever the need is. But, you know, just if something doesn't seem right, please do call, because if we can take care of it before it becomes an issue, we'd like to.
Yeah, and you know, Lieutenant, I would ask, for First District, we do get a lot of calls about drug activity. And so I always encourage the residents to call. I know they call my office, but it's always good for them to report it to the police so that we pull a call for services, and we, you know, we could, you know, argue our case.
Absolutely.
Anything you want to share on that or elaborate on that as far as like drug activity?
Well, I mean, we do have a vice unit, obviously, that runs 24/7. And if someone has a specific complaint that they would like to have addressed, they could contact the commander's office, and we can have it made up into a commander's complaint and then investigate that. Anything that's helpful as far as descriptions or vehicles or license plates, time of day, of whatever occurrence it is you're trying to report, the more information, the better. And the number for the commander's office is 5105.
5105, okay.
Yeah, it's 623-5105.
I'll put that in the chat, 623-5105. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Lieutenant Tucker. I really appreciate you being on the call today.
Okay, thank you.
So it's 6:44, and I want to be mindful of everyone's time, but I want to give an update on behalf of the council office. So first, community listening sessions. You know, COVID, it's been hard for us to meet in community events as we normally do. So over the last month, my office and I have been meeting with community representatives in their neighborhood to hear more of like the pressing issues on each block. I plan on continuing to meet with any interested parties, and I would ask that it's less than, you know, maybe 5, and encourage, you know, everyone to wear a mask. But if you are interested in for me to come out to your neighborhood, please reach out either by phone to 1-666-664-4238, by email, or Facebook request. And there's actually a application on there where you just kind of put in your contact information, and we'll reach out to you and schedule a meeting. So that's working well, and we've been able to address a lot of the neighborhood's concern, meeting them in person. So voting and census, I'm sure you guys have been hearing a lot about this because it's so important, right? And so the November presidential election is rolling, you know, it's just right around the corner. Please register to vote and consider requesting requesting an absentee ballot. Just some stats about Ward 14. So there's about 14,000 residents registered in the neighborhood. For presidential elections, about 5,000 get out to vote. So we definitely want to increase those numbers. So I really strongly encourage you to, if you're not registered, please register to vote. And if you are registered and you don't think you're going to make it to the polls, we have absentee ballot applications in my office, or we could mail them out to you. We just want to help you exercise your right to vote. Very important. Otherwise, Cuyahoga Board of Elections will, you know, also provide you with an application. All ballots need to be postmarked by October 31st. And for more help, like si necesitas español para registrarte a votar, puedes llamar a Jerry Peña o Elia Burgos al 443-3242. So I basically said, if you speak Spanish, there's actually a number that you will call and they will help you, you know, just complete your voter registration. Also, very important, whether you're a citizen or not, you should complete the 2020 census by September 30th, which is the deadline. Each person counted, it's about 1,800 of local resources to schools, parks, and so much more. And we're a very vulnerable community, so we need all the resources that we could possibly get. So I really strongly encourage you, complete the census. If you have any questions, call our office. We have partners out there working very hard, working together to ensure, to help, that the census is complete and to just kind of hold your hand through the process. I completed mine, it took 8 minutes. So please just get out to vote, register, and complete your census. CMSD schools. So Lincoln West has returned to school, and many other elementary schools have started this week. Please remember, if you're a parent of a CMSD school and you need internet, we have an internet service through a local provider, which charges about $8 a month for internet, high quality internet. So if you have any questions on there, you want more information, I don't have the number around me, and I thought I would be ready for that, but I don't. So please call my office and we will provide that contact information. But it's $8 for internet connection every a month, and it's quality. So we all know that kids are, not going to school and they're working from home. So this is a good service. There's also for youth, I have youth, and I know we need spaces for them, safe spaces. So there's Esperanza and there's City Life, both great locations, a place to access internet and work on school assignments in the neighborhood. So another situation, another challenge that our residents have been facing, and so I wanted to share this, is rental HEAP PIP assistance. Now that the block of eviction has been lifted, if you or your family are having housing issues, then the Cleveland Housing Network has resources available through their website. Each program offer does require you to complete an application, but they have been wonderful in their turnaround response, and they have approved many of the families in the neighborhood. So for further housing assistance, please contact Kevin Leon, and his number is 216, and he's from Metro West, our community development CDC that services mostly of our Clark, Fulton, Stockyard, West Boulevard area, and it's 216-961-9073, extension 202. Now, if you want to make an appointment with CHN, that's 216-350-0880. And if you need the application, just let me know on the chat, and then I could put the link for that. I want to thank all the block clubs that have been meeting and have restarted meeting, whether they're meeting in groups, small groups, or they're meeting, over Zoom. If you're interested in learning more about the block clubs in your area, we have Adam Gifford, who's actually on the call. He's from Metro West. He's the Community Engagement Director. So if you're interested in either starting a block club or joining one, please call 216-961-9073, extension 205. So my newsletter, I send out a quarterly newsletter with as much updates as I possibly can. If you're not receiving it, please let me know. Please call our office, 216-664-4238, or email. But this should go out in mid-September, has lots of resources, lots of event information. So I strongly encourage you, if you don't receive it, call my office, because it's just got a lot of helpful information. And then, as always, the fastest way to communicate or just to get the information about the neighborhood is if you could please like the J.Santana Councilwoman Ward 14 Facebook page. I know not everyone has social media, but for those who do, please like that. We normally update this 3 times a day. It is just full of great resources, free resources, especially for a lot of families that are struggling, and a lot of community development, economic development updates for Ward 14. So those are my updates for today. If you have any questions, please, just add them to the chat. And while maybe some questions are coming up, I do want to thank some partners that are on. We have Greg Zuka from Metro Health. Metro Health is doing a lot of wonderful work in the community. We can't wait for their transformation to take place. So he is on the phone. I'll make sure to schedule Greg on another call because we only have a few minutes so that he can give an update on Metro Health. But thank you, Greg, for joining us, and Julie Nations. We have Miriam Hernandez from Cleveland Clinic. So thank you. Eunice Cabrera from Tri-C. And so we have other, I'm sure that they're probably residents, but thank you all for joining. And I'm going to wait a few minutes, see if you have any questions. But you know what, we have about 5 minutes. So if there's a community partner that wants to share an event or something coming up in the organization, please unmute and then share. You know, more than welcome to share with the residents what's going on in your organization. Everyone's quiet today, Lieutenant. No one else?
Hey, Councilwoman Santana.
Yes. Hi,
Hey,
Julie.
it's Julie Nations. I just wanted to remind everyone that everything is open at Metro Health. And so we want to make sure that folks are coming in to get their shots and their kids' vaccinations, and they're making sure that they're doing their wellness checks and all the stuff that you would have been doing at this time if COVID hadn't taken over the world, or things that you would have done earlier in the year, perhaps in March or April. If anybody still has questions about COVID, we are still getting calls, which is great. We have a really easy number to remember. It's 440-59-COVID, 440-59-COVID. We have had about 30,000 calls to date, so we're really happy that we can serve the community in that way. We're great at answering questions and making sure that we're getting folks the attention they need. And hopefully we can get on your agenda for an upcoming meeting. We'd love to take questions from people and answer whatever concerns they might have about telehealth. We have a wonderful, wonderful opportunity now for folks to see their doctor and to get answers and to really be heard. So we can talk about that later, but it's one of the silver linings, I think, with COVID. So thanks for letting us talk about that.
Yeah, thank you, Julie. I definitely will invite you to our next meeting because I know you guys also have some great programming happening that would be very beneficial to our residents. So thank you on that. Any other questions? Any other partner want to talk? And I'll just close with this also, and I forgot to mention this. We have embarked on our master plan, which is very important. They just hired ambassadors, which will be our kind of our bridge to the residents in our community, our liaison. So they will be reaching out and doing a lot of community engagement with the residents and, you know, throughout the ward, I would say. So I'm gonna try to have them on another call so that everyone can meet them. But right now they wanna just kind of build that trust, build that relationship, and get your input on what you want to see in the community. What are your challenges, and what would you like to see in the neighborhood? As we are receiving a lot of investment, which is a great thing, but we wanna ensure that development reflects the needs of the neighborhood. So stay tuned for that. If you have any more, you know, if you want more information, I would say go to the Clark Fulton. Is it www.clarkfultontogether.com? Did I get that right, Greg? Yes? Okay. So www.clarkfultontogether.com has a lot of information. It is bilingual. So if you have any questions, definitely reach out to our office. But please, I strongly encourage you to be part of the master plan process. Thank you, everyone. We are done. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Councilwoman, can I just add that our very first mammogram clinic that we held at Lutheran was very successful. So we thank the community that came out. We had 20 slots available, 20 slots were filled. So our next mammogram clinic is going to be held at Lutheran Hospital on September the 29th. We'll be celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month, so we look forward to having something there. And if anyone is interested or has anyone who is either uninsured or underinsured, we'd be happy to schedule for them. We can provide transportation if needed, as well as interpreters. They can contact our phone number at 216-444-2626. That is a number where they can leave a message. And if they do need services in Spanish, they can contact our patient navigator at 216-828-5448. So September 29th is our next one. And we'll be having these every month until the end of the year.
Thank you, Miriam. We appreciate it. Maybe we could have you on a future call as well as a featured speaker.
Absolutely, would be happy to.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Have a great evening.
Thank you.